Hi there! Surely, many have wondered, can the Unreal Engine provide quality comparable to Corona or Vray under equal conditions? To answer this question, I made the same scene in 3ds Max with Corona and Unreal Engine to compare the results. I'm sure it will be interesting, and receive the result will make you wonder if you should continue using offline rendering. I made a concept of a house with a lot of glass and swimming pool. This will allow us to compare reflections, refractions, natural and artificial lighting, as well as global illumination and shadows in both Corona and Unreal Engine. For the purity of the experiment, I will not use render elements in Corona and Unreal Engine, and compositing in Photoshop. In an ideal situation, at the output we should receive an image in which it will be enough to perform only with brightness contrast and color correction. Let's take a look at the scene structure in 3ds Max with Corona Render version 9. House with some furniture. The relief and the environment is made with Quixel Megascans assets. For the effect of dirt on the facades of the house, I used Corona decal with textures from the Megascans library. For natural lighting and sky generation, I used the built-in tool Corona Sun and Skylight Environment Map. I adjusted the intensity and size of the Corona Sun. Then the Skylight Environment material changed the value of turbidity and intensity. I did this to make the lights and shadows softer. I deliberately did not use HDRI to get the result only due to plugin's own tools. For the fog, I used Corona volumetric material. I applied it to the geometry and placed it so that the fog was near the ground. Scene object materials are configured in the usual way, where textures are used for diffuse, reflection, glossiness and normal. In the render settings I specified a resolution of 4K and also set a path limit to 40. In my opinion, it is optimal for this scene in terms of the time spent and the resulting quality, especially in noisy reflections. I recreated the scene exactly in Unreal Engine. For the environment and decals I use the same assets from Megascans. I set up the material in the same way as in the Corona scene. The water material in the pool was taken from the pre-installed content in the engine. I created the natural light and sky with sun sky. For fog I used exponential high fog. Artificial lighting made with rect light. The position of the sun and cameras is fully consistent with the Corona scene. I have imported them position using Datasmith direct link import. Just look, I think it already looks great. Sky and sun look amazing, as does the water in the caustic pool. Now about the scene settings. For the geometry of the house I increased the light map resolution from 64 to 1024 to improve the quality of the calculation of light and shadows. Adjusted the density and height of the fog. To make the shadow softer and the light of the sun less intense, I individually changed the settings of the sun-sky components: skylight, directional light, sky atmosphere. In Skylight I increased the cube map resolution to increase the detail of the light from sky. In post-process volume I improved rendering quality, global illumination method, Lumen, and increased the values of all parameters. Reflection method, Lumen, increased quality and activate high-quality translucency reflections. For each camera I adjusted the exposure, bloom effect and white balance to make the colors a little colder. I want to say right away that the obtained results are valid only for my system. You can see its characteristic now on the screen. So, Corona Render, Camera 1. Let's see how system resources are used. As you can see, Corona uses CPU resources for rendering, loading in it almost 100%. In this case, the video card is not involved in the calculation. Post-processing in Corona frame buffer I applied after the process was completed rendering. I boosted the bloom effect and changed the white balance to 5500 to add cold shades. Result: 21 minutes 34 seconds. Also renders from other cameras. Total time taken to render all images 96 minutes 5 seconds. Unreal Engine 5.1 Lumen Camera 1 4K resolution. In anti-aliasing settings I will set 128 temporal sample count. Increasing this parameter more did not lead to any improvement in rendering. Anti-aliasing method, multi-sample anti-aliasing. Set render warm-up count and engine warm-up count. This would allow scene simulation and effects to achieve a good starting point before rendering out the first frame. Let's see how the system resources are used. As you can see, Unreal Engine, unlike Corona, uses a GPU for calculation, while the CPU remains idle. Result 49 seconds. Also renders from other cameras. Unreal Engine completed this task 27 times faster. This is an impressive result. Let's now compare the quality of the resulting renders. The sun in Unreal Engine turned out a little brighter. The colors are warmer. I definitely like the way the mountains look in the background in Unreal Engine. What I cannot say about the middle plane, it looks much better in Corona. Megascan's assets in Unreal Engine looks much more realistic than in 3ds Max Corona. The fog turned out to be different, but it seems to me that in Unreal Engine it is closer to natural. Corona render has noise on reflective surfaces. Unreal Engine rendering is clean and sharp. The glazing looks much better in Corona. Reflections are more detailed. Unreal Engine and Lumen make simplified reflections. I definitely like pool water better in Unreal Engine. You can even see the backlight. Reflections and built-in bloom effect looks better in Corona. I like the detail and sharpness in Unreal Engine. Shadows look almost the same. At this point you can see that the shadow in Unreal Engine has a non-uniformity. This is because it follows the relief of the texture. In the Unreal Engine, artifacts of the calculation of light and shadows are visible on the lower part of the roof. Now let's compare renders from camera 2. Still, reflections are better in Corona render. Lens effect in Unreal Engine looks weird. Again, artifacts of light and shadows. Megascans and furniture outside the window looks great in Unreal Engine. Light and detail I like more in Unreal Engine. Reflection of this part of the building in Unreal Engine and Lumen looks really bad. In Corona, the shadows are more complex and varied. In Unreal Engine, they are simplified. Let's look at the renders from the remaining two cameras. I forgot to put some mountain in the background in Unreal Engine. Camera 4. I really like how the light looks in Unreal Engine. The shades of global illumination from the sky are gorgeous. To improve the quality of the reflections, I changed the Lumen method to Ray Tracing. I set these settings for Ray Tracing. Reflections became detailed and similar to Corona. In this case, Unreal Engine completed the task almost 7 times faster than Corona. Well, Unreal Engine is a flexible tool. For me, it has become indispensable for presentation of my architectural projects. In my experience, scene composition speed increased by 3 to 5 times, rendering by 7 to 20 times compared to 3ds Max Corona. This is an amazing result. The rendering artifacts that arose in this example are not significant given the speed of obtaining the result. They are easily treated for post-processing, not to mention that 95% of clients will not see difference. Thanks for watching, I hope it was interesting. Write in the comments under this video which options you liked more. The source file for this project are available for download. The link in the description. See you!